Welcome back to the Buddha's Boys YouTube channel. It's your boy Eustufius back again with the post-game commentary of our ranked game in Age of Empires 2. Last week I did not upload any videos as I had some personal matters to attend to, but I'm back again this week and hopefully the upload schedule will improve over the course of the next 2 weeks as I'll be on vacation. So there's that. Currently we're right around 1400 elo, pretty much the same exact elo that I started this series with, the road to 2k elo. But if there's one thing that improved, that's the consistency. Over the course of this January I played, I think, just shy of 10 ranked games, probably like 8 or 9, which isn't a lot by any means, but it's a lot for me, because those 8 or 9 games, maybe 10, are more than what I played in the previous 3, 4, maybe even 5 months. So there's that at least. I actually lost the game prior to this game. Both games were played this Saturday, or yesterday, since this is being uploaded on a Sunday. I lost the game against Mayans, and it was definitely not an entertaining loss. The opponent was clearly better. Although we were pretty much the same elo, he had 5,000, yes, 5,000 1v1 ranked games. So his experience is much greater than mine. I just recently cracked 100 ranked games, so yeah, it wasn't even close. Playing as the Vietnamese, and I have to say that this happened completely by accident. I had no intentions of blaming my opponent, who's playing the Hindustanis. I just sent my scout after finding all of my usual resources, sheep, boar, chicken, and all of that. I sent my scout towards the enemy just to do a loop around his base, and I accidentally found 2 sheep. So I was actually debating whether I should steal them or not. I have to say I'm not against laming. So I don't have a problem when the opponent steals. It's annoying and all of that, but I'm not in favor of like banning it. I think it's a part of the game. So, but I was still like debating whether I should take them or not, or return them. I was like, on one hand I did find them by accident. That was not my intention. Oh well, I'll take them. I would expect the opponent to do the same to me. So I took them, and I sent my scout to do a loop around the enemy's base. Okay, so while the boring, quote-unquote boring Dark Age is going on, a bit of a context. So I'm playing against the Hindustanis. The previous game versus Mayans, I lost, so I was really hoping I could win this one to quote-unquote tie up the score. I'm playing against the Hindustanis. This is my 3rd match in total against the Hindustanis ever. My first one was with Slavs, which I won, surprisingly enough. The second was the same matchup as this one. I was Vietnamese against Hindustanis, and I lost quite heavily. The opponent really beat me to the pulp, so to say. So this was not this opponent, but a different one. So this was kind of like a revenge moment for me. I thought I had a pretty good civ, unlike the Mayans, where I feel like Mayans just are better on average than Vietnamese, or better in comparison to Vietnamese. I felt like I had a better civ. Not that that's all that important at my elo. I mean, that's something pro players would take into consideration. I'm nowhere near that level, so civ picking and civ countering, it does not hold nearly as much weight, but I still think it does have some value, even at my fairly or just about intermediate level. So I was kind of happy with the matchup. There was, of course, the possibility, the one unit I was definitely afraid was the Ghulam, but that's thinking a bit too into the future, considering we're still in Dark Age and Ghulam is their Castle Age unique unit. So I'm doing my standard build, 6 on food, 3 on wood initially, and then 5 on another wood line, and adding 1 more to the original lumber camp, so 9 in total. Some would say probably a bit of an overkill. Maybe I could go go with one, especially due to the Vietnamese bonus of not having to spend eco upgrades not costing wood. But I found this particular build with 9 villagers on wood total with 2 lumber camps to be. I just had more success with it. I feel more confident with it, so I decided to stick with it. I wanted, I did a loop around his base to see where all the resources are, to see what points of avenue I could attack, or where I should send my troops. And we reach at the same time. Both of us had a bit of idle time. So I'm Vietnamese. He's Hindustanis. I expected a stable. It makes sense. He got a stable, and I produced a village. Produced a spearman, and I tried to lure his scout, but yeah, he paid attention. Nice work from my opponent. I did not manage to trick him. So the reason I'm uploading this game is I feel like it's more entertaining than the one before this, the one against Mayans, which I lost, which was quite an obvious loss, so to say. It was definitely from like late feudal till my opponent reached Imperial Age, at which point I surrendered. He clearly played a better game, and he gained an advantage in late feudal and kind of never looked back from it. Like I said, he had 5,000 battles, much more experience. He deservedly won. And this game, I'm playing against my opponent. After the game, I checked, and he had around 150 1v1 ranked games, while I just about cracked 100 a few games ago. So we're much more even in that regard when it comes to experience and the number of games that we played. So I built one spearman. Thankfully, he's going for stable. And the rest is archers. So what I did here, I forgot to show it. I had 3 villagers collecting chicken, but they were quite far out, and not really well protected. I could have built a spearman, trained a spearman, which I am doing now, but I was afraid definitely that he was going to send 2-3 scouts initially and just pick off those villagers, which is definitely not something I would enjoy. So I pulled them back, and I believe I sent them to the wood line to chop the straggler trees. While doing that, I've been producing archers, trying my best to scout with, trying to scout with a scout, trying to use what little army I do have, and also micromanage my economy. I did some quote-unquote quick walls. They were definitely not quick walls as you would expect them, but yeah, I was definitely afraid. Maybe I was a bit too greedy with the whole walls. Maybe I should have been a bit more patient when it comes to walling, or maybe I should have just played defensive. But either way, while that's going on, I'm attacking him. So I'm happy that I haven't lost a villager up until this point. It was annoying that I had to pull them off of chicken, because I did have like two chicken and 1 decaying one, but at least no villagers died on my end. Thankfully, I was able to kill one of his villagers, which, any kind of advantage at this stage of the game is worthwhile. No one's gonna complain if they can kill a villager in feudal age without losing one, of course. And I decided, okay, I really just want to wall this. This is obviously the weakest part of my base. It's the most open. And I sent 2 additional spearmen, knowing that he has 3 scouts, I believe. 3, at least 3 in total, including the original scout. So I was very happy when I found this villager. I really wanted to kill another one. Obviously. No brainer there. So let's see if I'll able to do it. Yeah, that's not gonna complain. 2 villagers to sacrifice this army. It was unfortunate that I lost a scout, I would have liked to have kept him alive, but hey, 2 villagers for that small army, I'll take it. In my head, that's worth it. It did cause me a bit of idle time. Again, being aggressive in feudal is definitely one of my weakest points. So whenever I'm aggressive in feudal, it shows with the idle TC that I have. So I'm like thinking, okay, I killed two guys. He invested a bit into scouts. I saw him also switch into skirmishers. I didn't see the range, but I saw the skirmishers that killed my archers. So I'm like, okay, if he switched units in feudal age, there's a very good chance I'm ahead economically. More importantly, the 2 villagers that I killed, and a Vietnamese. I would argue Vietnamese have a better eco than Hindustanis. So I'm thinking like, okay, I'm in a good position. I can't complain, right? I got an advantage. It's not a game-breaking advantage. I by no means won the game with this, but it's an advantage nonetheless. So I'm like, let me just wall up and see where the game goes. There's no need to rush. I got a small advantage. Let's just chill, see what he does. I did go for the second archery range. I'm thinking like, yeah, I still want to go archers. Like the one thing that scares me is the Ghulam warrior, but I would not say he is nearly enough scary than the eagle warriors from the previous game, the one that I'm not showing, but the one against the mines that I lost. So in that game, I was very scared of the eagle warriors, which ended up being the bane of my existence in that game, in a sense. But the Ghulam warrior, unlike the eagle, he needs a castle, and for that he needs to sacrifice his eco. If he wants to go for a castle, he needs to sacrifice his eco for the time being to get the castle, to get to the Ghulams. So it's much more difficult than just going for eagles, in my opinion. I'm just going for archers. Perhaps not the best play, knowing that he's on skirmishers, but I'm thinking I'd rather counter the skirmishers than have to go face the Ghulams. Even though I just said that Ghulams were nothing special compared to eagles, I would still rather deal with the skirmishers than the Ghulam warrior. I was still in that mindset. Okay, I'll just play defensive, see where the game goes. The one thing that I do not like that I did here is that I ended up showing that I went for crossbow. Even when I played the game and I realized that this army is gonna die, I was like, the crossbow. He did see the crossbow. Okay, so that's definitely not what I wanted to do. So I do the usual strat that I'm comfortable with. One additional TC. Unfortunately, here I did make a mistake of having definitely more TC idle time than I would find to be acceptable. So there's definitely an improvement there. I sent these two spearmen thinking, let me just scout. This is the part of the base that I don't really see. And I saw this, and I was afraid, to be honest. And yeah, that was poor micro by me. I ended up clicking them too late to go there. So I did not know what he was sending for villagers. Initially, my worst case scenario was like, he has enough stone for a castle. He's gonna castle drop me into Ghulams. Luckily, that ended up not being the thing. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it ended up just being a forward siege workshop, thankfully. But 4 villages was like, if he sent 1 to 2, okay, siege workshop. If he sent 10, okay, it's a castle 100%. But 4, it was an odd number. I'm not used to it, seeing it. But one of the options that I expected was it's a castle or a siege workshop. And he already has elite skirmishers. And the game that I lost against Mayans, I'm not gonna say that was the reason why I lost, but one of the reasons I lost is my opponent went for a siege push for mangonels, and I switched in, or I got my siege workshop and mangonels way too late. So I was very late in that department, and he took complete advantage of it. He wrecked my skirmishers with mangonels while he microed them better than I did, and my mangonels couldn't. I couldn't kill his archers or his crossbowmen with my mangonels. So I decided, let's not make that mistake in this game. I just lost the game in that particular scenario. Let's not make that mistake again. So I built the siege workshop fairly recently. As soon as I saw those wills, I suspected that he might be going for a siege workshop. So I was like, okay, let's just build my own siege workshop so I can get my own mangonels. Let's not make the same mistake as I did in the previous game, which, as I said, I lost. Behind that, I was like, okay, I'll just boom. I got to Castle Age first. I would say that Vietnamese have a better eco. Let's use that. There's no need to rush. This civ gets stronger as the game progresses. Very strong civ economically, probably especially economically. So I'm in no rush to win this game. Ghulams are pretty much the only thing that I'm afraid of, but I have counters to the Ghulam. So I feel like unlike the Eagles in the previous game, but I feel like yeah, the Eagles were just a bit too much for the Vietnamese, especially mine Eagles. But what can you do? The Ghulams, I was like, okay, I have ways of dealing with the Ghulam. Definitely not playing as well as I could have. And there were instances in this particular game where I was like, okay, am I really throwing with my poor micro, and I'm letting his mangonel, like his one mangonel killed 2 of mine and 1 scorpion. I'm thinking like, really, am I gonna throw the game now? I'm adding a 3rd TC, which ended up being fairly risky, but everything ended up okay for me, thankfully. I saw his light cavalry. I was not afraid of the light cavalry, at least in these kind of numbers. I thought the crossbowmen would be enough, which thankfully they ended up being in these engagements while the numbers were low. But there definitely were situations in this game like this one where I'm being pushed and my micro, another major weak point of my game, is definitely, yeah, not the best. And I'm thinking here, okay, I'm losing. I am Vietnamese. Sure, my crossbowmen do have more HP, and I'm adding scorpions, but yeah, I'm just not beating the elite skirmishers. Here I think I did panic a bit, definitely. So I sent my ram against the mangonel, knowing that the skirmishers will never kill it, and if I leave the ram to kill the siege workshop, the mangonel will just kill my ram. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna send it so it can kill. Yeah, it did kill. Not perfect by no means, but hey, if it works, it works, I guess. My whole point here, I also sent a bunch of villagers to stone. They have been mining stone for quite a while. I do have enough for a castle. I wanted this hill. Like I was like, I want to push this siege workshop out, and I want to castle drop this hill. It's a hill between us. It's in the middle of the map, and it protects the front of my base, where pretty much throughout the entire game, this was the battlefield throughout which most of the fights took place. So I'm like, I want to secure this. Behind it, I was hoping, and I expected to have a better eco boom, partly due to the civ, also due to the fact that I'm Vietnamese and I believe I have a better eco than the Hindustanis, and also because I reached the castle faster, so I started my boom faster, or sooner I should say. There were points in which I was like, I wanted to switch into not crossbows but skirmishers, so I can match his skirmishers, but my skirmishers just have more HP, so hey, why not? But I decided against that, as I felt like, okay, this push, it was nice. It could have been done better, of course, but it worked. I'm happy with it. I pushed them back, And let's go. I finally got the castle. My front of my base is protected, and I was like, okay, I want Imperial. For example, in the game that I just lost against the Mayans, I never reached Imperial. My opponent reached Imperial, and I surrendered. Perhaps, looking back at the game, it might have been a bit of an early surrender. There was still a chance I could win the game, but realistically, I was down bad. I was definitely down bad in the game. And I'm switching. No, there's still archery ranges, okay, so I'm not gonna spoil it. Going full archery ranges. And I decided to stick with the crossbows and just add a couple of unique units. Well, I mean, what's the castle gonna do, right? And once I reach Imperial, I get free conscription, and obviously it's gonna be Trebs. My castle has nothing to do, so might as well produce rotten archers. Better than doing nothing. I expected him to go for Ghulams. That was back of my head. That was the unit that I was afraid the most. So I'm looking at the matchup. The Hindustanis, what are they good at? Fantastic camels, fantastic hand cannoneers. So they're great against knights or cavalry civs, and they have an excellent unit against infantry civs. Well, I'm Vietnamese. I'm neither. I'm an archer civ. I'm not gonna go for infantry, at least, you know, unless I have to go for some defensive helps. And I'm not a knight civ. So none of those bonuses affect me as much. So the one unit I was afraid of was the Ghulam. I haven't scouted his base in quite a while because it was all pressure for him. He did a forward siege. I did not have the opportunity to scout his map, so I did not know what he was up to. As far as I was concerned, he could have been on 3 castles ready to spam Elite Ghulam once he hits Imperial Age. So what I did, I started 8 stables. I clicked on 8 stables to be created for light cavalry. So for those who don't know, the Ghulam is basically like a Huskarl or Eagle type unit. Fast, has pierce armor, and on top of that has bonus damage versus archer type units. And I'm going full archers, like basically crossbows are basically were my entire army this game. So I was expecting maybe like a mass Ghulam spam, and Ghulams are weak to cavalry. So I decided, long term, let's go for Arbalest plus light cavalry. Also, light cavalry would help with skirmishers if he decided to stick with them, which we'll see if he does. But if he goes for skirmishers or Ghulam, my light cavalry are a good enough option. They're good against skirmishers and they are good enough against Ghulams. The rest of his arsenal is well, those are his best options. He has to go for one of the two, either the skirmishers or the Ghulams, to at least when it comes to countering my crossbows. So I did reach Imperial before him, which I was very happy. I had a lot of trouble or reaching to Arbalister. I don't know what happened, whether I misclicked a couple of times, whether I canceled the upgrade, but I know I felt like I clicked on it, or should have clicked on it at least 3 times prior to actually clicking on it. You know what I'm doing? I'm just sending villagers while I have map control. I'm like, okay, I'm first to Imperial. He'll be Imperial soon. I'm expecting him to be Imperial soon, because I did not do any eco damage post Feudal Age. So I'm like, okay, he's slightly behind in terms of reaching to Imperial Age. I have time, and I'm like, let's go. 8 stables, a bit of knights just to have them. And then I saw camels, and I was very confused. I have to say, I was very confused with camels. I'm like, oh, well, okay, so my few knights and the light cavalry that I wanted to switch isn't going to do anything to camels. Yeah, Hindustanis have some of the best camels. So I was like, okay. For a moment, I was like, okay, I need to switch into halbs. And then I'm like, well, switching into halbs is now kind of not the easiest task, considering I spent the entire day on archers and just did a tech switch into light cavalry. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna have arbalesters soon. That's great against camels. I don't need to have another counter for camels. I already have one, and I have a lot of them. So I was like, okay, this is a good composition. So this is where I say, unlike the Mayan game, where I feel like Mayans have an advantage against Vietnamese, feel like in this game, I as the Vietnamese had the civ advantage over Hindustanis. So yeah, I assume my opponent felt the same way I felt in that Mayan game. Yeah, so that was the game. Decent or good enough defense against the Castle Age siege push. It was good enough to defend. I pushed them back. Not the prettiest mangonel micro you'll ever see, to be honest, but it did the job. I boomed behind it. I was happy with the stable transition. It ended up being not what was needed, in all honesty. He did break through at one point with a couple of light cavalry here, just to see me put down a bunch of stables. So maybe that's why he went for camels. Maybe he expected knights, which I did just produce just a few, and then he went for camels. But as long as I had the units to counter the camels, I was feeling confident. So yeah, quite happy with the game. Thankfully, I didn't let it go into 2 defeats in a row. It's quite annoying. Getting multiple defeats in a row is definitely demoralizing. So was happy that I was able to win this, especially because the previous matchup with these 2 civs, where I was also Vietnamese against Hindustanis, I lost. So this was a bit of a payback in a way. You know, that's a completely different character or player. So that would be it for this video. For the next 2 weeks I'll be on vacation, so I hope, at least that's my expectation, that I'll play more ranked games, and hopefully some of them will be interesting enough for me to have more uploads on this channel, hopefully with some nice gameplay and maybe even some elo progression. Hopefully, you never know. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.